Hey everyone, welcome to Wally DM, and this is Game Master Roundtable Episode 4. Now we've had a lot of DM roundtables, but as far as the GM roundtables, we're on Episode 4. Thanks everyone for joining us. My goodness, there's a lot of folks in chat already, so great to see everybody. Make sure if you have any questions to put them in there. If you have any ideas that you'd like to add to our ideas, that would be fantastic as well. But what I would like to do is start off by introducing our panel today, and we will just go in the order that you see on the screen. So starting in the top left corner in the blue square is Mr. AJ Pickett.
Hi everybody, my name's AJ. I've got a YouTube channel where I make videos about extraterrestrials, monsters, and RPG lore. At the moment I'm covering a lot of Palladium books and rifts. But if you've got any suggestions, I'm always open for making videos on viewer suggestions, so let me have it.
Fantastic. And in the purple square, we got Jordan from Flutes Loot.
Hey, I'm Jordan, aka Flutes of Flutes Loot. My wife Opal and I create content that is meant to be kind of like brain loot for all of you DMs, GMs, players, all of you, so that you can get some lasting memories out of your gaming time.
And in our orange square, we have the Okayest DM.
Hi everybody, I'm Dennis. I run the Okayest DM YouTube channel. Haven't been doing a whole lot with that lately because I've been spending my time raising money for charity, playing in live streams, running live streams that also raise that money. And mostly I've been designing my own Rules Light RPG. Got a whole design team with me, commissioned some art for it. Really excited to start putting that out. If you want more details on that, you can check out my Twitter, Okayest__DM, or my YouTube, Okayest DM.
Fantastic. I am Wally DM. For those of you that are new to the channel, also be sure to like and subscribe. That would be great. Hang around for a little bit. I do videos on puzzles and traps, and Fred has my book there. Thanks, Fred. Speaking of Fred, he'll be in the yellow square.
Hi, I'm Fred Wheeler. I run the How to RPG. That's RPG, not D&D. Role-playing games. That's where we are at. Basically, I do everything to do with players and dungeon masters or game masters, and I do a lot of live streams, a lot of videos, and way too much. So, yeah. And I'm doing a role-playing game too, Dennis, with my team of one.
Best team.
3 years from now, maybe.
Fantastic. I've been seeing a lot of folks that have been doing the TTRPG creation. It's been fun to watch. I try to tune in when I can. So let's dig into this. We've got 4 subjects for everyone tonight. We have our first topic is going to be homebrew monsters, and then we're going to move into our legendary magic item, some traps, and then we're going to follow it up with a building and or business in a city that we created. So AJ is going to start things off with us. Tell us about a homebrew monster, either a story about it, a monster that you created, or present an idea.
So this is a monster that a lot of you have heard of before, but it ties in with a location later on that I'm going to be talking about because this is actually play tested in a campaign and it was wildly successful. This is the delicious pink ooze. So the delicious pink ooze is an innocuous little creature. It's only small in size. They never get particularly big. They're not dangerous. They're barely even acidic. But what they do when you get near them is they spray you with a pheromone scent of extreme potency, which makes you smell absolutely delicious to every creature that smells this stuff. So it reacts with any sort of creature that it hits, and so you become as tasty as a halfling. They're just the most delicious fried chicken, cookie, fried onion smell coming off you, and it's like skunk spray, but the exact opposite. So the evolutionary reason why and as soon as the ooze does this, it skitters off really quickly and disappears and hides. So it's actually fairly intelligent for an ooze, and it's more like an amoeba, really. Anyway, so it disappears and it hides, and then later on it follows that scent trail that it sprayed on you along as slowly and carefully as it can, and then eventually it finds whatever carnage has resulted in either you killing all the monsters that have been attracted to you or your corpse because you've been killed by something else, and then it just feeds on the carrion, and that's how it lives. So what happens alchemically is you can get the ooze and you can actually milk the stuff off it by provoking it and making it squirt all the time, and concentrate it by using an alchemical process into the most potent food additive flavor enhancer known to man or gods. And this ties in perfectly with what happened at a tavern, which I'm going to be talking about later.
Okay, so two things on that. First, I absolutely love it, and I have never heard of the pink ooze before, and this is going to be crazy when we get to the trap section, because I could easily put the pink ooze in my trap section, so I can't wait to share that. And the second thing, how did we jump right back into eating halflings and halflings tasting delicious? Wasn't that
we did this last time?
We did this last time 2 weeks ago. Oh,
I am a dire halfling, and I do taste delicious.
Awesome. Yeah, so I love it. The pink ooze, and that's actually going to tie into my business or my place at the end. So I appreciate you kicking us off with that. That's awesome. What about you, Jordan? What do you have?
I homebrewed a monster that was. I really like the concept of something like just like spins really fast and goes like a boulder. I like Armored Armadillo from Mega Man X. I liked Dawn Fan and Sandshrew and Pokemon. And so I once made a monster that it would roll up in a ball, and it would just keep moving and just crash into people, tackling them like that. And it was actually spinning so fast that it was invulnerable to damage while it was spinning around. And so I made it so players had to find a way to stop it, whether they were creative enough to like prop up one of their shields and like ready in action to like shove it upwards so that it like lost momentum, or like cast the levitate spell on it to put it up in the air so it could not keep its momentum going. And that was a really fun monster. It was pretty simple. I didn't have any lore behind it because it was kind of in a dungeon, summon the different monsters and defeat them until you can progress sort of thing. Really simple stuff. So I didn't have any lore behind it or anything, but I think the concept's fun. That's what I got.
Yeah, when you first said roll up in a ball and spin really fast, I went to Sonic the Hedgehog, like right off the bat in my mind.
Oh, yeah.
I could picture this thing just spinning up and charging and then taking off. That's pretty cool.
Reminds me of there's that thing with a lion head in the middle, and it's got 3 legs coming off it, and it just sort of cartwheels around everywhere. And they actually made a D&D monster out of it, but it's some heraldic symbol.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Did Josiah cover that once? I don't know.
I think so, probably.
But yeah, it was a weird one.
What about you, Okayest DM? What do you have for us?
Well, I found this buried deep in my notes, and I must have been either drunk, half asleep, or both when I wrote it. But I have a monster called I have a monster called a Fuzzy. It has no attacks, and it's basically, if you've seen the original Star Trek series, it's basically a Tribble. Little tiny fuzzy thing that can't do anything but eat and reproduce. So it has no natural defenses whatsoever. So what it does instead is it bonds itself to something bigger and stronger that will protect it when it's in danger. So one of these little tiny fuzzy things could bond to a person because they're adorable, could bond to a horse, just something bigger than it, so that can bring it around if it wants to go anywhere. Or it could bond to something stronger, like, I don't know, a dragon, an astral dreadnought, just this tiny little fuzzy thing that these giant creatures will die for. So you better not grab it, because you might piss off something that you don't want to.
So what you're saying is they have an affinity for this thing, and they'll fight you for it. Is that what's going on?
Exactly.
I love that idea.
Phil Kearney in chat just says, triple infestation on a spelljammer, eating your air supply fast and furious. Fast and furious.
No.
Nice one, Phil. Thank you. All right. Everybody still there? Okay. My computer just glitched out, Fred, and we're still here, so that's good. I guess I will go next. So I recently ran a one-shot, and if it seems like I'm talking extra fast or stuttery, it's because I have asthma and allergies. And so I wanted to put that into the one-shot that I ran. So last Sunday, I created the asthma zombie. So a lot of times in your pop culture, your zombies are brain eaters. Well, in asthma zombies, they go for the lungs. They don't care about the brains. They'll leave that for their friends. They go for the lungs. So the way that I'm thinking about this is they look exactly like a regular zombie, except for they have a hole in their chest. You can see their lungs, and they wheeze all the time. They're terrible at stealth. You can hear them all the way down the hallway. They even walk slower than a regular zombie. Zombies are slow. Asthma zombies are 5 feet slower than that. And a few of the abilities that I thought for this, or when I ran into the game, is one, it's got a wheezing cough, and that's on if you're playing 5th edition, it's going to be on a recharge. So if you're within 5 feet, it's going to just wheeze and cough on you, and you have you could get zombie lung from that, which means that your speed is going to be cut in half. And you are going to start and wheeze and cough, and you're not going to be good at stealth, and you're going to want to get that taken care of and see a doctor right away. I am not a medical professional, so if you get zombie lung, you'll have to go elsewhere. My apologies. And of course, it does have its slam attack, but I think my favorite part of this is when they're chasing you down, or when they end their turn. I always describe the asthma zombie as hunched over with their hands on their knees and just taking a few breaths when they end their turn. And then of course too, they're filled with all of these spores and pollen and mold and stuff like that. So when you do end up killing a asthma zombie, which they have terrible constitution, by the way, instead of them popping back up with 1 hit point like regular zombies do, they just explode, and everybody within 5 feet, they get caught in the cloud, and they'll have to make a constitution saving throw. So
that is terrifying. That is terrifying. I'm just imagining describing the sound of this thing before the players even see it, and they'll be like, "What is coming?"
Yeah, exactly. See, and I can do it great because I just won't do any treatments or use my inhaler beforehand yet. All right, I could be a little bit out of breath for a little bit, but you'll see why in just a second.
Just adds to the tension. It's just like, get the words out.
Man, Wally's really being creepy tonight with that breathing. What's up?
You could throw a little bit of cordyceps mushroom in there just to freak them out if they've been watching the Last of Us.
I have not watched it yet, but I know it's zombie related, so I'm going to have to check that out too. Fred?
Well, I was just thinking, Wally, I feel like we've had this discussion before. All undead should explode when they die. Like, if you kill it, it explodes. The roving mauler is the one you were talking about, AJ.
Yeah.
Lion head that had legs, and if it fell over, it couldn't get back up, and it used to breathe fire. It's the most ridiculous thing under the sun, but it's very...
Might have to do a monster lore video on that one myself.
Oh, I think that's an IP thing, though, dude. I think that's Advanced Dungeons and Dragons IP. How do we feel about that sort of thing? Anyway,
I can go back to the mythological origins of stuff and avoid that game.
Yeah, because it came from somewhere else, didn't it? Yeah, right. Yeah,
Cordyceps, that's right.
We actually have talked about the pink ooze before, AJ, and you remember I put a video up on my channel after you had one on your channel, trying to kind of cash in on your popularity there, eh?
Not Kobold Press, though. They rejected the idea for their last monster manual. I was heartbroken.
This is why I brought it up, because I wanted to mention, guess what? You remember Kobold Press turned you down for that monster.
Yeah, I know.
How do you feel about that? Is it going to wind up into one of your books now?
Well, probably not. But I think they rejected it because they thought it was something like, I don't know, adult themed. It's really not.
Adult themed? I am confused. Anyway.
Delicious pink.
Before we go on from that, I do have to say that I too had a monster that was turned down from Kobold Press. I actually had, I submitted two. I submitted one for the Creature Codex, which got turned down, and the second one for Tome of Beasts 2, which got accepted. It's in the book. But the one they turned down for Creature Codex, I'm kind of glad they did it, because now I've totally revamped it and redone it, and it's going to actually be in the Quintessential Guide to Monster Encounters. So I'm going to publish it anyway.
Yeah, that's what happens when you turn things down. I just wind up in a different book.
Yeah.
Okay, so actually the monster I'm presenting to you is actually not just my creation. It's actually mine and my brother Sam. We made this. And we didn't make it for Dungeons and Dragons. We actually made it for I'm a child's book. So it's not going to operate like a normal Dungeons and Dragons or role-playing game monster, because it's not really designed to be that way. And it is the Frankenstein soft toy, which is basically a patchwork soft toy. You have different patches all over it that sort of, if you cobble together various bits and pieces of a soft toy, you'd wind up with like a patchwork looking humanoid of some kind. And it grows by combining itself with the leftover bits and pieces of other soft toys over time that have been broken or discarded or whatever. And it gets bigger, but it also becomes stronger, and it develops and becomes more complicated in some way. The idea behind this is it would live under the bed. It would live under a child's bed. That's where it would live. And what I really wanted to, and my brother were wanting to try and capture, was the idea that the love from the child who loved the soft toy before it became sort of no longer a soft toy anymore and just a bunch of parts that had been sewn together multiple times, was imbued into the actual soft toy. And so when those bits sort of come together, they form an actual sentient being. And its intention was never really to scare anybody. It was more as a guide for a child, because there's always the monster under the bed. But this particular monster under the bed, actually, when you finally get to know it and realize that it isn't going to bite your head off or eat your toes, is actually kind of on your side. So that was my monster, and Sam's.
I like it. Whenever you say the monster lives under the bed, I immediately go to creep factor 10. That's just.
Oh yeah. You're like, it's not intended to be scary. I'm like, oh, there's so many ways I could make this scary. Like, that's a perfect creature for a Beyond the Supernatural game from Palladium. That just fits perfectly. In fact, I think they've even got something like that. Or the scene from Akira where the psychic children make a monstrous illusion out of the toys all becoming giant size with that like creepy child's music in the background. Yeah. Or even a poltergeist can manifest like that and become or what they call it, a tectonic entity, or something like that. And it joins together all the physical bits like a maelstrom, but in this case it would combine them all. It's feeding on the psychic energy that the children have invested into the toys. It wants to be recognized, it wants to be seen, it wants to evoke an emotional response because it's feeding on the potential psychic energy.
I could definitely see myself using that monster in like a Halloween one shot, but it's good because a lot of people you describe something that's either grotesque or something like that, and they immediately go to that's going to be an evil thing or whatever, and that's why I like using stuff like that to be like, no, it's a pretty cool dude, you should get to know him. If
it gets physically stronger in the game every time somebody gets scared of it, and it's just like constantly running into townsfolk and things, and you're saying, be calm, it's not dangerous, and they're like, ah, and it gets, it could run out of control.
I love it. Very good. Very good. Any comments from us? I'm going to start browsing through chat real quick. I appreciate everybody hanging out with us tonight. Chat's up to 24, 25. I'm going to just dig through some of the comments. Also, the four of you too, if you see a comment in chat you want to pull to attention, definitely do as well.
Mr. Gilman has asked me to bring everybody's attention to Ed Greenwood's new Discord server for the Forgotten Realms.
Wow. Didn't know that he had one.
No, you do.
And I won't even mention that he signed my book here either. I won't even mention that. I got to meet him a few months ago. Very cool.
Oh, you're so lucky. I hope I met him.
Nacho Man says monsters can squeeze the pink ooze on food like a condiment. That was.
Or just rub it over you.
It's the condiment you don't even have to pass. It just crawls over to you.
Goblin runs up to you with a bottle of something and just starts rubbing it onto your leg. Like, what the? Get off me.
Like,
no, just here, having a good time.
Oh, man. Lots of tribble sounds in chat. So everybody that did that gets 50 points. Make sure somebody's keeping score.
Oh, let me guess. That AJ's responsible for that one. I'd
Yeah.
imagine. Yeah. Hey AJ, your comment about a toy growing larger and larger because it was scaring people. I had this image in my head of like a sort of normal street town, and moving down the town is this giant teddy bear smoking a cigarette with sharp teeth, and I'm like, I mean, it's the most ridiculous. It kind of goes back to Ghostbusters and the Marshmallow Man. But yeah,
Yeah.
I can imagine unleashing a fuzzy toy teddy bear onto a town.
It starts off as just like a little teddy bear wanders into town, right? And it's tattered and old and disgusting. And it goes, doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo, and the children's toys start marching out of the houses with the children delightfully going behind it. And then it goes, rah! And it's like, ah! And it gets bigger and it sucks up their toy. Ah! You go, ah! And then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger until you've got this gargantuan thing which is tearing the roofs off houses and scaring the piss out of everybody inside. Oh yeah, I could work with that.
If that teddy bear's got a cigarette, I'm going to make it an asthma teddy bear.
It's full of spores and mold.
Oh no.
Toss Plays says that the asthma zombie sounds like the Weezer from Dead Space, monsters with mutated lungs that spews poison into the environment. I've never heard of that before. I'll have to check that out. Make sure I'm not
Dead
intruding on
Space is
anybody.
terrifying.
Is it?
That's a scary game.
Yeah.
I have never played that.
AJ, you mentioned that the 3-armed lion fire-breathing monster was originally, or someone mentioned it was a coat of arms. I like the idea of a coat of arms just also being a monster. Like you have this beautifully crafted silver dragon. This has like a sword coming out of its mouth, and then it comes to life and starts attacking. Ha ha ha!
Just touch the shield and it bounces out and becomes a real creature. I like it like the Power Rangers.
Issa in the chat says, does the pink ooze taste like strawberry?
Pink ooze has ironically no flavor.
No flavor. Okay, good to know. You won't be passing that as a condiment then. I'll put a little bit of no flavor on my burger. Craig says, did a rust monster variant before that ate natural materials instead of metals? That's scary.
Don't most monsters do that anyway?
I was
Eat
thinking
natural.
like your clothing and stuff. Maybe.
Oh, okay.
That's the way I took it. But I
I was thinking grass, like plants. That's almost all.
I know manticores are attracted to people wearing armor because their spikes that they grow are actually metallic, so they actually need metal in their diet. So they go for the most armored person first.
Oh, yeah.
Not the spellcaster; it's the guy in the armor.
Very cool. Any other comments on our homebrew monsters? Anybody? Cool.
Despicable.
All right. I will move us on to round two. So round two, we're going to start with Okayest DM. For those of you just joining us tonight in the chat, great to see everybody. Thanks for joining us. Be sure to like the video if you have time to click that thumbs up button. That's much appreciated. And the Okayest DM is going to take us to topic number 2, which is just introduce us to an idea for a homebrew legendary magic item or an artifact. Tell us a story. Tell us an idea. What do you have for us?
So in my homebrew world, there's a place in somewhere in the Outer Planes called the Soul Forge. And it's basically this place where souls can go, like famous smiths and tailors and very renowned people. When they die, they go to the Soul Forge to continue their craft. And what the Soul Forge is designed to do is to interweave the souls of people into items. So if you have a someone who was like a butler or a guard who was extremely loyal to whoever or whatever they were guarding, their soul might be used in a Soul Forge and be put into a shield or a piece of armor so that they can continue to guard whoever they were guarding after their death. In one of the groups of elves, the elven kingdoms in the world, commissioned some of these soul forgers to make swords. And what they did was they had their dead pets be put into these 2 swords. There were 2 dire wolves, and they were named Boneshade and Bloodshade. And Boneshade got turned into a sword made of shadow, and his unique thing was that his drool was poison. And so the sword is made of shadow and can apply poison just as a free action for free if you have it on your person. Legendary magic item with enough poison, anyone wielding this thing could take down anything that something huge and way out of their league. Bloodshade was a vampiric direwolf, and so when you strike someone with the sword that Bloodshade's soul is inside, he continues to drink that blood, and you regain hit points as you hit them. So these pair have been passed down the elven line of kings for generations and generations. Right now, one of them is in the hands of one of my player characters, and she really wants the second one too. I don't know if I'm going to allow that to happen because the game is just going to go out the window at that point. But those are my legendary magic items.
Those are very creative. I like that.
For some reason, I'm just picturing dropping the shadow sword on its own shadow at noon, and it just disappears. Just falls into the Shadowfell, and you have to go and pick it up in the Shadowfell.
Ooh, interesting. Now, do they have any type of sentience or anything? Like if she were to get both of them, would there be like some resentment there or anything, or like any refusal not to do anything? Just out of curiosity.
They actually can also manifest into the direwolves themselves.
Oh, wow.
And we role-played through that in-game with those 2 swords having been separated for centuries, finally met again, and they met like brothers being reunited.
Cool.
Awesome. I love the story behind that. Now I don't want to follow you because mine's really simple and not as cool. And just to think,
sorry, I'll be more boring next time.
And just to think, I almost didn't put your image up there, so I'm glad I did. Cool. All right, so I guess I will go next. I've recently started a new campaign with my brother, my sister-in-law, and my cousin. And one of the things that I always like to do in new campaigns is I like to plan to create a legendary magic item. And it's usually based on either their own personal likes or their character's backstory, or maybe it's something that they are starting to be attracted to in game or things that they want to do or accomplish. And a lot of times I'll do that in stages. So they'll find the magic item. Maybe it's just a +1 weapon. And then when they reach certain levels, then I'll add another ability. And I mean, so these magic items, by the time you get to 8th to 10th level, they could have 2, 3, or even 4 different abilities to it. Well, my sister-in-law is playing a bard. This is the first time she's ever played D&D. And so she is, for those of you that are familiar with country music, she is a huge George Strait fan. So in one of our first adventures, we're playing Waterdeep Dragon Heist, and I had a bunch of pictures, and I actually went through and I printed out all these pictures that were on the wall, and one of them was of George Strait. And she eventually ended up finding a lute of King George. So for those of you that are familiar with George Strait, they call him King George. So I was like, okay, you have the lute of King George. And the way that it works is she can use a bonus action. Now, in 5th edition, bards can bonus action with their bardic inspiration, or they can do that with, or they can, do something else. So this lute, all she has to do is activate it, and then the ghost of King George will show up and just like shift off to the left or to the right, and will be playing, and the lute goes with him. And then I always ask her, like, what song are we listening to today? And she'll be like, Amarillo by Morning, or something along the Troubadour or something like that. But what it does is if she hits something and deals psychic damage, she gets an extra die equal to her bardic inspiration die. So in the beginning, if she casts Vicious Mockery or Dissonant Whispers and deals some psychic damage, and she already activated the lute of King George, then she gets an extra D4. And then when she got a D6 die, she could do a D6. And then she became a College of Whispers bard, which you can spend bardic inspiration to do psychic damage. So turn 1, she activates King George, moves him off the side. Turn 2, if she hits, she does the psychic damage, and she's starting to whoop a lot of ass with that thing. all the while listening to country music, causing psychic damage. Who would have thought? That's it. That's all I got for you.
I love.
I like it.
One.
I was comment about automatic attunement, and I've got an auto-tuning loot.
Brad, what do you have for us? What's your magic item?
Well, actually, mine's very much on the same page as yours.
George
one of
Strait?
the things... Well, I don't know about that.
Oh.
No, so one of the things I discovered after playing 5e for a while and other versions of Dungeons and Dragons is that there's this nasty tendency that once you get to a certain level with your character, you decide that you don't want a +1 this or a +1 that weapon. You want to have a +2 or a +3. And so I decided I wanted to eliminate that hassle for my game. I didn't really want to go through the Diablo experience. And so I actually wound up giving my group somewhere between level 4, maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 magic items, and they would grow and adjust with them once they attuned to them. They were all attunement, all required attunement. And I'm going to just describe one of them, not all of them, because there was 7 people at the table, and I don't remember all of them anyway, so it wouldn't help. So basically the idea is it would grow, and when they get it, they have to attune to it. Once they attune to it, it's magical, but that's all it is. It's just magical. So for 5e purposes, all it does is get through magical. It just gets through resistance. If you've got a monster that has, it has to be struck by a magical weapon. Otherwise, it's got resistance. All it did was, eliminate that aspect of it. There was no other benefits. But then it would grow and adjust over time. But the requirement was they had to retain it. They had to keep it on them. And I also put in another provisor, which is if somebody else used it, they couldn't easily unattune to it. It was kind of like it had a little bit of a curse. It was attached to them. So if somebody else picked it up while they were attuned to it, or they got somebody to identify it, they would be disintegrated. And a few of the players wound up with NPCs who got disintegrated. Poor wizards who were just minding their own business. Here, can you tell me a bit more about this? Because Fred's not telling me very much. Disintegrated. Literally, I think they actually had one of these people. They got somebody who felt so guilty. They had them resurrected, and they wound up being resurrected as a dog. Don't tell me that you can't resurrect somebody as a dog. That happened. Okay, it happened in the game. It happened. So I can't remember his name, but the name of the weapon that I gave it was called Alar, Alar. I think it's Alar, and it was a great sword because the player wanted to have a great sword. And it could transform into other weapons. So it could transform itself. Now, I think I gave this a feature to it somewhere between 6 or 7. I can't remember exactly where it was, but it was pretty early on. And so it was the same weapon. He didn't have to have a magical bow and a magical sword or a magical melee weapon. It's just the same weapon. And I made that possible because the weapon was getting jealous of the fact that he was using a different weapon rather than a layer. So I thought, I'm just going to do that. It seemed to make sense to me. So I did that. He could actually transform it to other weapons, but he refused to do so. It's his, up to him. I don't mind.
Yeah.
And then so at level 10, I gave him a +1. They were like, when are we going to get a +1 magic weapon? And I gave it to them at about level 10. These guys played to level 20, by the way. And at level 17, it became a +2. And they said, we should have a +3 by now. And I'm like, well, do you want to chuck it away and see if you can find a +3? And they said, no. I wonder why. Okay, it could do fire damage at level, I think it was about level 8 or 9 or something like that. It did 1d6 fire damage. It wasn't a lot of extra damage, and I think I pushed it up to 2d6 fire damage at 15th level or something like that. Look, at a point, I can't remember, it was between level 10 and 15, it would whisper to his character constantly, and
Love that.
some of it would make sense and some of it wasn't. Basically, it was the game master or DM's opportunity to screw with his head and tell him and feed him all sorts of bullshit. Okay, I bollocksed him as much as I possibly could. He didn't know what the heck that sword or weapon was trying to communicate to him, and whether they could even trust what was going on. So okay. So that was definitely me missing. It would glow at about level 5, so it would actually just glow, and not so much glow in the presence of creatures, just glow because for some reason he had a great sword, but he refused to. Nobody in the party would carry a torch, and it caused a few problems along the way. You'd think it would be no problem in 5e, but apparently if your entire party can see in the dark and you're the only character who's human, and his was, it's like you kind of have to have light. So yeah,
Just come up with no other race that can see in the dark can see ultraviolet light, but humans can, so they have ultraviolet torches.
or something like that. So yeah, it had light, so it would glow in the dark. And I usually sort of lace the increases to the weapon every 3 to 5 levels, depending on how powerful it was. I put the better stuff at the tail end and the less powerful stuff at the closer to level 5 and stuff like that. But one of the huge requirements is they could not not have it on them. They had to have it often, so they couldn't sort of decide to unalign and then go use a different magic item that had alignment attached to it.
What happened
Because,
if
of
they?
course,
What happened if they didn't?
start all over again.
Oh,
Start all over again. One of them found out the hard way, and as soon as they discovered that I had done that with one of the characters, none of them were like, nah. It's like, you sure this is a level 1 magic item right now, and there's a level 2 magic item here? Like, no, my other one does much more things. I like that more, and it's got a name. And I was like, if you're going to do anything with magic items, people, and magic weapons in particular, give it a name. If you want them to hang on to it, give it a name, is all I can say. So that's my legendary magic item, or one of them anyway.
Goodness gracious, chat! Don't make me spray you with cold water.
yeah.
Are they face palming?
It's
No,
like
they're talking about they're making some comments about something about a loot that has unusual functions.
Oh no.
I'm not even going to repeat. There's at least 10 minutes of. It's like we have the Game Master Roundtable one corner, and we have an interesting conversation over in chat. I love.
I was surprised that Fred's wasn't just like a +2 cape of billowing or something. That's what I was expecting.
There's 2 things I love about that. The first is the fact that it reset. That's genius. It's evil and it's genius, and I'm going to use that. The second is I love sentient weapons, and jealousy and envy are 2 of my favorite to give them. 2 of my favorite personalities. I love that. What are you using that weapon for? What are you putting me in the scabbard for? I don't know. It's not time to go in the scabbard. I want to see what's going on.
Yeah, the most evil,
like
vindictive weapon will go for the stupidest, most violent, and manipulatable character. So it's like the half orc always gets them. Yeah,
It's
Very
like
cool.
Thor's 2 weapons in the most recent
Yes!
Thor Marvel, where Stormbreaker is very clearly jealous of Mjolnir the whole movie, and it's just a bit that keeps getting used over and over and over again.
it's always talking to it. It's like it's okay, man. You're better.
Oh, there you are.
But he's so
That's-
Mrs. Molyneux, obviously Mrs. Molyneux.
Great example. I love that. Great item. What about you, AJ? What do you have for us?
Oh, this is tied into something that comes later on. This is, I'm going to post it in the chat here. This is Knowles' Artist's Easel, and it's a legendary wondrous item. It requires fine art canvas and Knowles' pigments to work. So you actually have to use another wondrous item to use this wondrous item. But with it, the artist, and it doesn't matter what your artistic ability is because it's a magic item, it's just doing it itself anyway. You splash the pigments and think very carefully about a place that you visualize that you've been to before or you know of it. and then it will paint exactly what is going on currently in that scene. So you can spy on anything, and it gets through all sorts of scrying blocks and stuff like that. It's basically a scrying easel. So you just use the Knowles' pigments and paint the surface with just whatever, and it will show exactly what's going on in that scene right now.
That's amazing. What is does it have a reset? Is there only so many paintings it can do? How's that work?
Well, you've got a limited amount of Knowles' pigments, obviously, and those are very valuable for other reasons that we'll be talking about later on. And it requires a fine canvas as a component. So you need to, put an actual canvas, because the easel itself is just a frame that you put the easel onto, the canvas onto. But yeah, once you've put it on there, you've now attuned to it and you're locked in, and then you just, and you have to visualize. So you could do some sort of a wisdom check or something like that, or maybe an intelligence check, so you can remember the location, or somebody's told you about it. You could try all sorts of different things. You could try out, maybe it can show you something in the future, so that if they get to the scene, you'll be like, I know there's a swinging blade trap which is going to come down when we're at the specific place. So it will actually give a tangible benefit to avoid a trap or something like that, because you've prepared and spent the enormous amount of effort to get the Knowles' pigments and the canvas and everything set up beforehand. It could tell you whether the dragon in the lair is currently asleep or not.
Nice.
It could tell you something in the past, maybe like, yes, the king definitely met with this person on that date. So we know that you are not responsible for the murder because you were in the thing. So it could be actual evidence, court of law.
Oh, yeah.
That can show you.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. That would be good there.
That's the reason why I really love Wondrous Items, that you can tie into a campaign like that. It's not just what it does, but it's the implications of what it can reveal.
I got a question for you. In what situations would the painting show up too grainy to make out what's actually happening?
Probably if you don't know the location very well, or the location doesn't exist.
Oh.
So it could even reveal something by not revealing something.
Interesting. Mr. Gilbert in chat says, how long does the painting last for?
Well, the painting is permanent. So
it's just a scene. It's not active. It's just that.
No, it's just a picture.
Yep.
So you're like the imp in Terry Pratchett's Discworld. You're doing the picture of the scene instantaneously. Also, it could be grainy if you're trying to locate a place in another plane of existence.
Oh, very cool.
So you haven't tuned in.
Too much static.
Too much static, yeah.
I love it. Flutes. What do you have for us?
I actually based a campaign around a concept some may be familiar with. If you ever watched on Saturday morning cartoons, Jackie Chan Adventures, where there was a statue of a dragon that was like this imprisoned, like godly being, basically. And so I based this campaign around the rules of law and chaos was locked away. The god that represented chaos was locked away and divided its power into these animal talismans that gave different powers. So the whole goal of the campaign was actually to gather all 12 talismans, which I didn't base them on the Chinese zodiac animals or the whatever it's called. I based it on my own, and my wife even like painted these little talisman animals on these little like rocks that you get, and it was fun. So they each gave you quite a lot of new abilities, and the most popular one was the frog, which I found in my old Google Doc where I had it. I would not
Awesome.
design it this way these days, but I'll just put in the chat what the most popular feature from the frog talisman one, which was gulp, which was essentially it made it so your stomach becomes a bag of holding.
Oh
so
my
you
goodness.
can swallow things whole. People loved this. It was like the player's favorite thing. And then you could also like eat tiny creatures to regain hit points based on how many hit dice they had. So they were meant to be legendary, like really cool abilities. I'd probably change the wording and stuff to make them like, I think I just understand writing game mechanics better now, but like the idea is there, and that was like the most popular thing.
How do you get the item
wasn't-
back? How do you?
they regurgitate it. You know. They
Oh,
just,
come on. Oh, really? I was waiting for you to say they have to pass it through.
Oh, no. It's I didn't include it here because it was too much text. But the last thing is it says it's actually like separate from their digestive tract, so it just kind of is, I don't know, like extra dimensional space for their stomach or something like that.
Could it be if two people were affected by the same item and they had the same power, they could actually exchange an item that way?
You could only have one person. Well, actually, yeah. Because the way I had it was they all had like this orb that absorbed all the talismans. They didn't actually have to carry the talismans around. So the talismans could actually attune to anyone in the party. So if they wanted, they could all attune to the frog one, which I think most of them did. So they could just like like pass stuff back and forth to each other's bag of holding stomachs if they wanted. You know, they're like,
Let's say you're sneaking into the castle. Your friend is in the jail in the castle, and you steal the keys, swallow the keys, and he's in the castle and goes,
yeah,
what? Great.
Yeah, so surprisingly problematic if you have creative players, basically. But yeah,
oh yeah,
it was a fun one. They liked this a lot more than like the monkey one that gave them like fire damage, or like most of them like gave damage and like flight and stuff like that. And they were like, no, we want to like have bag of holding tummy. That was like the thing. So it was a fun one. That was mine.
If they're connected, good way to send information quickly. Message for you, sir.
Yeah.
Isn't there a magic item? Is it the Harvard's sack or whatever? The one that you can like share.
Haversack?
The one. What's the magic item where you can share dimensional space, where like one person can put it in and the other one can take it out? Isn't there a magic item like that? No.
I've definitely seen that homebrewed before, but I don't know if it appears in official content.
Help us out, chat. We're at loss.
For some reason, I thought it was like one of the artificers infusions that I seen, or not, was it not infusion, but one of the magic items that artificer could get, where you could like have a pouch, and whatever you put in there was like anybody that has a matching pouch or whatever can pull that out, and that's what I was thinking with your frog. Your frog totem there, that what one person swallows, then the other person could regurgitate.
Isa in chat raises a very interesting point. What if you ate a bag of holding? Does it create a black hole in your stomach? I guess everybody just get teleported to the ethereal plane or something.
Yeah, I'm actually not a fan of the whole like bag of holding black hole stuff. So
that's just a recipe for abuse.
Yeah. I'd rather think of something else that it does if I wanted to do anything. That's just me.
Wow. All right,
I had a person who was tied to a bag of holding. So every time you opened the bag of holding, they turned inside out, the person, and popped out from wherever they were, and they'd appear with like a bath towel. It's like, what?
Oh, that's crazy. All right, chat. Let us know what you would swallow with the frog tummy of holding. I love that one. Very cool. Any other things about our magic items before we go on?
Well, I'm just wondering because did somebody suggest like a marsupial pouch? Are we talking about are we potentially talking about a party of kangaroos with extra dimensional pouches that they can carry around?
Cool.
Well, yeah.
Well, Aboriginal mythology has or religion, I should say, has a famous character who's a kangaroo man. So he's like a centaur kangaroo. So upper body is man, lower body is kangaroo. So that's kind of interesting. So,
I feel like we're backtracking to the homebrew monster realm.
Yeah,
talking about extra dimensional kangaroos.
I'm just thinking, like in 5th edition, there's so many animal races already. I'm surprised there's not a kangaroo yet.
Well, that's because it's only available in Australia.
Or the continent of Aussie in Faerun. Yeah.
All right.
I just remembered one more thing about the toad stomach thing. I just put it in chat. It was my notes. But there was a point where you could unlock like the master feature of the talismans, and the toad one of the toad's ones was toad stomach, where you could basically cast imprisonment, the 9th level spell, in your stomach, so you could like swallow someone with imprisonment. So it was pretty wild. Good times.
I love it. Very cool. Awesome. All right. So those are homebrew magic items. We are at the halfway point. Does anybody need a break? Are we ready to go on to the next subject? The next one.
I'm good.
Cool. Before we do continue, I do want to say thanks to everyone that is in chat. I appreciate everyone participating. It's a lot of fun to see over there. Now, I myself am not in a very good position to respond to a lot of you that are in the chat without typing it on my phone, and I type it very, very slowly. So every once in a while I'll be able to say something, but not often. But good to see everybody chatting it up there. And again, any thoughts on these items or questions, be sure to leave them there, and we'll take a look at them. So let's go on to number 3. Fred, are you okay starting us off with traps, or do you want me to do it?
I'm fine. I'm fine. I did my homework just before we started.
All right. I do have a graphic here. So on this one, I'm going to take off the round table logo. Look at me live stream. Here we go. Boom. There it is. So I have a graphic here now on screen for everybody to see. So take a look at these. These are Rory's story cubes. And the 5 of us may have developed a trap using a few of these story cubes. So everyone in the chat, take a look at them yourself and see if there is a trap that you can think of that you would be able to homebrew with these. But we're going to take a look and tell which cubes we use, what our trap is, a trigger, and an effect. And take it away.
Sure. So my trap is called... I'm not going to tell you what my trap is called. I'm going to tell you at the end, so you'll understand once I tell you what everything else is. So normally, I'm put a disclaimer in the front. Normally, my traps are not designed to be used by anybody because they're a really bad idea, and they usually kill everybody who ever gets anywhere near them. So just to make sure you understand what you're getting into when dealing with my stuff. So if you haven't figured it out, I'm taking the piss. Okay. So the first, the images I took was the sort of the horse, the wooden horse, and the box, and the cow. The cow was like a gift from heaven, so I had to take it. So I've decided the trap it's the Trojan horse. You know, the Trojan horse on wheels. It's basically you offer it as a gift to somebody stupid enough to actually consider it a gift, and the trap trigger is when you finally discover there's nobody actually in it. When you finally discover there's a hatch and you try to open the hatch, that's what triggers the actual Trojan horse. And when the effect is, it magically transforms you into a cow. Okay? And that I had to up it up. I was like, so I'm calling this trap the Trojan cow. Okay? That's my trap. And I can tell you now, since the number of traps I've made with Wally, this is the tamest and nicest trap I've ever created. Now, you're probably going to ask me, so how long do they remain a cow? And I'm going to say, indefinitely. Okay? You're
There
a cow.
it is.
Okay?
Fred,
Oh no!
Fred, when it gets back around to me, you're not going to realize just how much I have rubbed off on you because I have made something extremely similar to what you've just stated.
Oh, no.
No, that's
really worried
good
about
because
this.
that's, yeah, I actually have 2 and we'll see. But that is awesome that you, yeah, very good.
Okay.
I love it.
I'm done.
AJ.
So I put some work into this one. This is tying back into Knowles' pigments again. So I've actually got a theme going on here. So this is the when you walk into a room, this is what the players see. So they see two stone cubes here, and one of them has got a little thingy with Knowles' pigments inside there, so that you get the treasure straight away. And it looks like the Knowles' pigments have been. There's one little bottle of Knowles' pigment, and it looks like it's got like half fill, and it's got a brush there. You've got a causeway going down the middle here, and then there's these 2 spiked traps, pits, very obvious pits on the outside there. But it's all an illusion. So the only thing that's really real in this situation is the two boxes. And this one's sort of open, but this one is closed, and this one's actually got something on the inside too. And if you look at the pigments, you can see that there's like elements of paint flakes and stuff like that around the box here. So there's something going on. Maybe the players will be like, let's try and get the Knowles' pigment to try and draw a door on the box to see if we can get inside it. And if you get inside it, of course, you can see there's all of these Knowles' pigments inside there for refilling the bottle on the top there. The other one, if you open up this other one here, it releases a wraith that will chase, that'll attack you immediately. But the wraith is actually primed to go off if you go over and touch this area here, or if you're about to discover what the room actually looks like is this.
Oh yeah.
So
Nice.
So the Knowles' pigment has drawn a causeway over top of the actual pit, and the Knowles' pigment is depicting a pit where there is no pit, actually. So if you're the person who has designed the trap room, all you do is just go straight through and then jump over this little bit here to avoid activating the wraith in the box here. Or if the wraith is tied in, it will be released if the Knowles' pigment has not been refilled. So if you've used it for any reason and they're not refilled it and come over the other end here, the wraith will come out and attack you, chase you out of the room. But it's really just designed to sort of delay anybody, but anybody who knows what's going on just walks around the pit and goes out the other side. Now I've drawn a 3D view because there's something else going on in this room, even more scary.
Whoa.
Yeah. So this shows you that there's the two boxes. This red line around the outside wall indicates that there is a razor wire that will go whoosh, straight across the room. If you get to the other side here and touch this plate in the wrong place, so yeah, if you're not coming and very careful, that's just an extra element of nasty, having a razor wire that just goes whoosh, straight across the room and cuts everybody's heads off if they're not too careful. But just goes to show you what you can do with just one magic item and a confusing situation with a relatively simple room.
I can see a very disappointed wraith. The adventurers make it to the other side, they get decapitated, and the wraith like comes out like, oh, I didn't get to do nothing.
Or it's just trapped inside the box. It's like trying to get out.
Really looking forward to that. That's
Could
awesome.
be the spirit of Nolzur himself.
Yeah. That reminds me of you see him on like social media all the time, the artists that paint like on sidewalks and stuff like that, where it like looks 3-dimensional, it like looks like you're jumping across stuff. That's exactly what that
exactly so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I love it.
Nasty picture Banksy would be proud. Oh, thanks, Cargana.
Oh, very good. What about you, Flutes? What do you have for us?
All right, I had two ideas. I couldn't decide which to share, but I thought one was like objectively worse than the other one, and so I said I would share the worst one if we got 25 likes in the stream, and we were exactly at 25. So I will share that one.
Nice, thank you.
I decided, and I'm not a very good trap writer because I overthink it. So I'm just gonna go with what I have. We'll see.
Perfect.
Like this is what you get. So the players, they enter a room. Inside the room is a cow. On the wall, it says, "Only an exhausted devil may proceed," and there is a door that is locked. And if they try to milk the cow, they will find it is enchanted, and its udder produces alcohol. Now, what they will think is that they are supposed to make themselves have points of exhaustion from drinking too much in order to open the door. This is a trick. The real way to open the door is because it says an exhausted devil, and so anyone who speaks Infernal can step up and just say, "I'm exhausted," in Infernal, and the door will to exhaust themselves. They will just waste time, get drunk around this beer cow, and their adventure will be squandered. If you need to make it more urgent, the cow's tail will eventually lift and cast Cloud Kill in the room once they're sufficiently drunk. This is my trap. Thank you for coming.
I'm picturing this cow. There's got to be a cataplepus, or the deadly swamp cow, or at least sacred to the dwarves in some way.
Absolutely, yes.
One of Moradin's cows.
Flutes, I think you understood the assignment perfectly. cows?
I
good.
think he understood everything perfectly, because that
was
is the
amazing.
funniest thing I've heard. We all know that the players are going to milk the cow, even when they probably shouldn't, just because it's inappropriate to do in the middle of a dungeon, right? And the fact that it's alcohol and that they're going to drink it, that is going to be sitting around that cow getting drunk the whole time. It's
That's amazing.
it's brilliant.
That's-
Yeah.
Then you
that's
just
good.
gotta wonder, like, if they figure it out and they get out alive, they're gonna be like, we gotta take that cow and we gotta sell it to the dwarves, and it's gonna be like, then they start thinking. So keep that in mind, because there is a residual industry that the players may pursue.
You could get the keys to the Dwarven Kingdom.
Yeah, seriously.
They're going to open their own. They're going to open a tavern, dude. They're going to open their tavern and call it some cow milk. Get the cow milk here.
Moradin's milk.
They need to figure out how to cast enlarge on it, and so make it an even bigger cow, and they can just hook the tappers up to it.
Yeah, maybe it is just a gigantic cow. It's like, wow, this is obviously a cow of the gods.
That's awesome. Now you did
It's a
say,
bull.
oh,
Don't like that.
here we go in the
No,
chat again.
no.
Oh.
Stop looking at chat.
Nacho man, I should have known.
You're banned.
You said you had two prepared. Did you want to share the other one, or are you good? It's up to you.
The other one just involved like a bunch of alligators that are actually mechanical, and they're swimming around in like really murky water, and there's a chest that looks like that's where the treasure is, but really if they get in the water and try to fight the gators, they're just robotic and they'll get electrocuted. So the real thing is you got to be perceptive and see which alligators are appropriate to step on, so you can get to the red alligator that if you open up its mouth is a treasure chest, and that's where the real treasure is, something like that.
I like it. Very good. But yeah, I'm going with beer cow. Well done, man. Well done. What about Okayest DM? What do you got for us? What's your trap?
Well, I definitely picked two of the same ones that Jordan did. I picked those three horizontal across the middle. So I got the beer, the cow, and I've got the deity holding a lightning bolt ready to smite someone.
Okay.
So this is a trap that is part trap, part wandering monster. So the party is just walking down the road and they come across a lone cow, and painted on both of its flanks is "Do not milk." Immediately, the party is going to say, okay, why not? Let's find out. Pull the lever. And they find, oh, wow, this cow actually produces alcohol. This is amazing. We could like take this around and start selling it and stuff. Little do they know that the alcohol that this cow produces is cursed. And anyone that drinks it essentially becomes a lightning rod for the next like hour or so. Storm clouds start gathering. It looks like rain. We gotta quick get to the nearest town. Lightning starts striking like 2 feet from them, and it turns into a chase encounter or something to get to the nearest shelter and wait for the buzz to wear off.
I like it.
I don't want that to go wasted, the buzz to wear off there. Like, I don't know if that was intended, Dennis, but that's a good pun.
Oh, no, it wasn't. I mean, yes, 100%. Yeah, it was.
The fact that we had two in a row of beer cows is just absolutely amazing. Couldn't we make
Could it be a curse that turns you into a were minotaur?
Now I'm
we
starting
make
to
it
think
three?
that like there's just gonna be like a recurring joke in someone's campaign where it's like, oh, there's another cow, and it's like every cow has some grand story to it.
Yeah.
Every time you restore a cow to the Dwarven Kingdom, you get a boon from Moradin.
If you're the DM, you put a cow in there whenever you get a new player, and all the players that have been there for a while, like, hey, new guy, you gotta milk the cow.
Why?
Don't even tell him.
This is like Skyrim. Like, you get a side quest at like the very beginning of the game. Someone's like, I've lost my 5 enchanted cows, and like throughout the whole campaign, you just encounter these beer yielding cows, and you're like, oh, it's that guy's cow. And it's like spread throughout the whole campaign, you find all 5 cows.
That's awesome.
All wizards in the world retire to be cow farmers, so all the cows in the world are just just the wildest.
Oh,
Have
man.
some quirk to them.
There's not enough cows in Dungeons and Dragons, that's for sure.
It's true.
I guess I'll go next. So I have two. I'm going to share the first one with you that is very similar to Fred's. That's very similar to Dennis. That's very similar to Flutes. Because I too use the cow. Nobody's milking a cow in my trap though. So I chose the treasure box, the cow, and the deity with the lightning bolt. So the way that I'm going to set my trap up is the adventurers are hired to go retrieve some items. There was an old man that owned a farmhouse that passed away, and they are to go and grab items and bring it back. Very nice and simple. However, the trunk that is out in the barn is trapped. And by opening the trunk, you are going to trigger a polymorph spell, and that will turn you into... not an old man with a lightning bolt, but a cow. Yes. And not only a cow, but as a cow, you're hungry. So you're going to go into the front yard and eat the grass. And while you're eating the grass, the guy up there, that's not a deity. That's the old man that passed away. And this trap is called Get Off My Lawn. And he was very particular about his lawn. And so you as the cow, while you're out there eating the grass, he's going to throw a lightning bolt out there because you're messing up his lawn. And then you're back. You're fine. So that's Get Off My Lawn. Now, another trap I do want to share with you is because it really goes back to AJ's monster, the pink ooze. I'm going to be upfront. I had no idea the pink ooze did what it did. And so when you were telling me that, I'm like looking at my notes. So for this trap, I chose the perfume bottle, the crocodile, and the beer mug. Now, the beer mug was simply, you're going to be in a tavern and drinking beer. So there we go. Use the cube. And you're going to be approached by someone that is selling perfumes or colognes. And if you buy that, it smells amazing, which now that AJ's presented the pink ooze, it could just be a pink ooze cologne or perfume. And you could use that because once you put that on there, she's actually working with a were-crocodile. So we're going to put this down on the bayou somewhere. And anybody that put that on, when they leave, were-crocodile is going to smell you out and have dinner. So when you started describing the pink ooze, I was just like, that matches my trap. That is uncanny.
Nice.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Any other thoughts on traps from us?
So I don't really feel like this is about homebrew traps. I feel like this is about cow traps. This feels like this was really about cow traps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I see no problem here.
Yeah.
Imagine the only way to get more delicious pink ooze is to get magical cow milk and have it curdle. Disgusting.
I'm trying to figure out if Fred's trying to make a caltrops pun, like caltrops instead of caltrops.
I didn't. You did that. I didn't have to do anything like that.
All right. I filled in the gap. You led the way, and I got there. Okay.
Very good. Issa in chat says, "Feed the cow chocolate, you get chocolate milk. Shake the cow, you get a milkshake." Love it. Right.
You can only if you get different cow milks from all 5 cows, you can make healing potions.
That would work.
What are the name of the 5 cows? Because it just occurred to me that there are 5 of us here. So
Betsy.
Okay. Really?
Betsy.
Frank.
Betsy.
I don't know.
Frank.
Rick. My cow's going to be Rick.
Oh, we have to name our cow?
I don't know. He said 5 cows. And is he referring to the fact there's 5 of us on the panel here?
I don't know.
Are we the 5 cows?
My cow would be Glarus, because there's a beer in Wisconsin called Spotted Cow. That's the first thing that pops in my head.
Oh, right.
New Glarus Brewing is one.
In that case, I'm changing the cow's name to Black Mac.
I understand the reference.
That's a brand of beer we have in New Zealand.
Off subject real quick. I've heard New Zealand's got some amazing craft beers, so hopefully I'll be able to taste them some days.
Did you say some amazing crap beers, or?
We do too. That's also true.
I'm sure there's
sure
both.
we do.
I'm sure there is. It's just like here.
Even their crap beer is amazing.
Okay, all right.
Balcamion says
Cow Tui.
Cow-tui. Valcamion says moonshine. I love Nacho
Shaken,
Man.
shaken, not stirred.
More cowbell.
More cowbell. Yeah, that's what as Traps needs. More cowbell.
More cowbell. Great job, chat. Great job. Are you guys ready to move on to our next one?
Oh, I'm so ready to move on right now. Because this feels like the sock discussion we had a while back. You remember the sock discussion? It just never ended. It was so painful.
We need to put that topic out to pasture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Do it now. Do it now.
Yeah.
We're all going to die.
Yeah. We already milked that one
Reached
to
the
death.
tipping point.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, who's up next?
Flutes, you're going to lead us off with this. So next thing we're going to do is this is our final topic. I guess before we dive into that, once again, chat, thank you very much for hanging out with us. Be sure to like the video. If you like it, if you don't like it, that's fine too. But thanks for hanging out with us. This is the GM Roundtable number 4. We'll be back in a couple weeks with another one. So stay tuned. Topic number 4 is we're just going to either tell a story or introduce or give an idea for an inn, a shop, a tavern, what have you, something homebrew that we made either in a homebrew world or never mind, I'm talking too much. Flutes, go ahead and lead us off.
So, are we not doing the homebrew tavern thing?
Yes.
Or...
Yeah.
Oh, we are. Okay.
Yes.
Cool. Okay. So mine was in a wheat field where there is a clearing. And there is an old derelict blimp that is up on scaffolding where the tavern's kitchen is. And then down below, there's just a bunch of picnic seating. And it's kind of like a state fair kind of vibe. And so they've got all the wheat there. And there's a river going by where all the lumberyard lumber would be floating down to the main city. So it's kind of an in-between spot for like the capital city and one of the lumber yard like mountain areas. So they would transport the wood to the capital along the way. And so like halfway there, usually at nighttime, the people would stop and cool off with the fresh tavern mead or beer or whatever, with the wheat being right there. And it was just kind of like a state fair location. I don't have anything super cool to say about it. That's what it is. And it was a unique tavern that wasn't just like a shack, you know.
That's right, though. You painted a really good picture of it. I could very much imagine that in my head. I like that idea. Sounds really cool.
Maybe they have an enchanted cow.
Maybe. What about you, Dennis? What do you have for us? Okayest DM.
The one I'm going to go for was one that Argent Wind Gaming actually in chat invited me to play in one of his stream games. And in addition to making a character for that game, he allowed me to make a tavern. And the world or the city that we were in at the time is sort of like this Magitech, almost magic/steampunk sort of vibe. So I made a tavern that was entirely automated. There are no maids, there are no barkeepers. You sit down at the table, you look through the menu, and you touch something, like a touch screen. And what it does is it opens up slots in front of the table for you, and you have to put in the right number of coins and in order to pay for your meal, your drink, or whatever. The coins go down, and then they make it upstairs, like there's automated kitchen on the second floor, and it drops down in front of you. For you to consume. They also they've tried to do an inn portion where you can stay the night, but they had difficulty. People didn't like the cloud kill spell that they had to kick people out of their rooms if they were staying too long. They had too many lawsuits about that. And the bouncer fortunately has not moved in decades because the imposing presence of an iron golem is enough to make anyone be well behaved.
I love it.
And the name of the tavern is Off the Clock.
Very nice, man. Very nice.
10 out of 10.
There's a lot of stinking cloud kill stuff going on tonight. I love it.
I literally wrote that down as Jordan was describing his cow.
Well done. Way to improv there. I'll go ahead and go next. Now, I have talked about my Homebrew Tavern before, and I don't remember. I think it might have been on a gelatinous cube monster thing, but I couldn't find the video anywhere. So I'm going to share it again because I'm sure a lot of you haven't heard this story before. Fred might have. But in the Journal of Puzzle Encounters, in my book, there is a magic item, which is the sentient ochre jelly. Now, that came about in my Dragon Heist game where our wizard had this sentient ochre jelly. It was tiny. It was like a familiar to him, and we named it Blobby. So now in my homebrew world, I have we use that character's last name of Azercrest. We have Azercrest University, and across the street we have the tavern or the pub that all of the college students and the library people go to, and it's called Blobby's. And Blobby's is, and here we go back to the pink ooze. Blobby's is an ooze-based tavern. So while it's where all the cool kids are hanging out, I brought my drinks with me. So I haven't filled this drink list out all the way, but I'm going to run through some oozes and the types of drinks that you could get at Blobby's. Don't make me laugh. No more cow stuff. The first one is going to be a Grey Ooze Martini. Now, for a lot of you, you might know of Grey Goose as a vodka, so we're going Grey Ooze instead of Grey Goose. So the Grey Ooze Martini. Also, by the way, chat, if you have any drinks that are associated with oozes, throw them in the chat. I want to see them. The next one is the Shrieker Seltzer. It's so good you'll scream, and so will your seltzer. We have the Oblix, which is a faint smell of sulfur, and it's shaped, it's in a drink, and it's in the shape of a humanoid, and you gain whatever memory that it has. So you eat this like little, I won't go into details. We have the Slithering Tracker Tequila. So the tagline on it is never get lost. The Green Slime Margarita. We have the Mustard Jelly Mead. We have Treant Sap Pale Ale, served with a fresh leaf and a twig. We have ochre jelly shots. We have the Black Pudding Porter. And then we have gelatinous ice cubes with blue bourbon, cold and slushy, or is it squishy? And then we have, and then the final one I have is the Candlestick, and it's a candelabra-like drink. It's going to be tall, have the middle section that's going to be tall, then it's going to have two drinks on the side, and you just get a random selection. And as you drink it, they all funnel into each other, and that's the Candlestick. So that is my homebrew tavern that is ooze based. And I'm thinking maybe I put this a little bit in the future, and that sentient tiny ochre jelly familiar grew up to be a plasmoid. And now I've got this plasmoid spelljammer creature that's running his own bar. Maybe he's like, yeah, Dad, I'm not going out to adventure. I'm just going to open up a tavern. Like, oh, you'll never amount to nothing, kid. And he's like, now he's got like blobbies and neon signs, and everybody loves him.
Welcome to Guanadale's. What can I get you?
All right, Fred, what do you have for us?
Well, I remember us talking about the gelatinous cube, and you talking about your gelatinous cube ice cubes. And I missed that video too. I really, you can't find it now. But in the spirit of I don't drink anymore because I never was much of a drinker, but I just can't physically. It just doesn't work. I had made a name of a tavern, and I had based it off a real tavern in New Zealand. AJ may recognise it, he may not. It's the tavern name is the Dog's Bollocks. And the Dog's Bollocks, no, you don't go into the tavern and find dog's balls hanging from the ceiling or anything like that. It's not like that, okay? I want people to think that, but that's not actually the case.
Just a phrase that means very good.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So the front of it it's got a green front and really large windows, okay? The original has a green front as well, this tavern, this pub. And I wanted to have really large windows in it and two double swinging doors, like the old Western. And the reason that I wanted to have two large windows either side of the door is that I wanted to be able to throw the players' characters through the windows with my NPCs. Literally, that was the one thing that I keep remembering about all the old Westerns that I watched was the fact that there's somebody going through a window. If there's a big window, you know it's getting broken. Okay, that's why they put it there in the first place. So it's there for that very purpose, although there's a chance that somebody else might be going through other than their players, but you never know. I mean players' characters, not the players' characters. Don't get confused. The actual sign itself, hanging from there, is two knots that kind of look like balls that have been knotted together. But it's actually more like two Celtic knots, like the original sign from the original pub, okay? And I wanted to have the inside to have a very Western layout, Old West layout. I'm a sucker for a Western. I am. There's an old dog that sleeps near the fireplace. I put a fireplace in this place. I know that's confusing. Okay, so there's a fireplace in here, and it drinks up all the drinks that people leave, all the patrons that come in here. That drinks all their beer and so forth. Sometimes when they want them to drink, they offer it, and sometimes when they don't want to offer it, it's constantly sloshed. This dog. Okay, the dog is owned by the person who actually owns the tavern itself. And they love dogs, and they specialise in really strong ales. And I decided that it was important that this tavern owner be really down to earth. And I was trying to think of somebody who sort of exemplifies the idea of dogs bollocks and Kiwi as a New Zealander. And I decided that I'm going to steal an existing name. Fred Dagg, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yes, AJ gets the reference. Everybody in North America has no idea what I'm talking about. But Fred Dagg was basically a character in New Zealand that was supposed to represent, would wear like a black singlet. So this is this character. Black singlet, was a farmer, was on the farm looking after sheep, and Dagg as...
All of his sons' names are Trevor.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody's named Trevor, and literally Dagg is in the dags that hang from the sheep's wool. The poop out the back that didn't quite make it to the ground. Yeah, exactly, the dingleberries. So yeah, the name of the
Dagg is also something that we say when somebody's funny. They call him a dag.
Yeah. So I wanted him to be funny too, because Fred Dagg wasn't that funny. He was supposed to be funny, but yeah.
Yeah, he had some really good songs.
Which is surprising. But yeah, that's my dog's bollocks. That's what.
And ironically, the comedian is actually Australian.
Oh man, I love it. AJ, finish this off.
Right, so this is going back to the pink ooze and just tying everything all together.
Yes.
We got Crandy's Tavern. Crandy's Tavern became the central location of a player character group, so everything got weirder and weirder as we went along. And because they didn't deal with stuff that was going on in the tavern, it just sort of ran out of control. So you could have a adventure hook, which is the local Wizards Academy, has got all of the apprentices for this year have gone missing. The finals are coming up. None of them are studying. They're all going off and doing something, and they're going to fail their year of study. So your job is to track them down and find out what's going on. So infiltrate, student culture in the city. And what are these students up to at nighttime that they're keeping very secret? Meanwhile, all the farmers around the local area are tearing out all their crops and planting nothing but onions, which is a very strong concern of the local town magistrate and stuff like that, because obviously we need all this different crops and stuff. We can't just have onions. What's going on? What is this drastic market force that they are following that has got this huge supply of onions going on? Well, Crandy's Tavern is run by Crandy, the goblin barmaid. She actually runs the tavern. She calls herself a barmaid, but the actual owner died a long time ago, and Crandy has just taken over and never actually said that the owner's dead. But she's been running the place. The steam room's up on this third floor, where she has the illicit sort of sex stuff going on, where she takes illicit photos of nobles and stuff and blackmails them. She's a goblin. And she's also lusty in the worst way. Anyway... Downstairs in the tavern, there is a magical box, which is it's linked to another box a long way away. So it's kind of like, it looks like when you first see it, it's like, this is obviously a mimic. But in actual fact, it's not. But it's a malfunctioning portal, two-way portal between two different locations that nobody uses and goes in. What the students have discovered is that if you fire a spell at it, the malfunctioning portal edge around the lip of the thing will cause it to either deflect or turn into a completely different spell. So a cantrip will transform into something else, and they use prestidigitation. What they do is they go to the thing, they set up lights and stuff to make a rave party. They have music going, and then they have magic duels where they fire off the thing, and then they have to deflect the spell if it comes at them in a random direction. Upstairs in the tavern, Crandy has discovered the delicious pink ooze powder. She got a huge stock of it in barrels, and she's been making this onion dip, which is so highly addictive that she just can't sell enough of the stuff. So all the local farmers have been tearing out all their other crops to supply Crandy with the ever supply of onions.
I love it when some random throwaway idea just upends an entire economy inside a world.
So there you go, folks. That is, in a nutshell, what my campaigns are like.
That's amazing. I love that.
So the students are like, yeah, man, you downstairs in the basement. And, yeah. And you go down there, it's just, what the hell's going on?
Oh, so
Harry
cool.
Potter, Lord of the Flies situation going on down there.
I love how we began with pink ooze and we ended with pink ooze. That's great. and a few cows along the way.
Oh, all the player characters got hopelessly addicted to the onion dip, by the way.
Oh my! I mean, onion dip, man. I mean, you can't.
Oh yeah, it's good enough as it is without that being added to it.
Even without the pink ooze powder stuff.
And of course, there's a mystery of where the owner went. He went into the portal going through the thing.
Oh, very cool.
It's true. Onion dip and Fred Daggett is the kiwiest episode ever. In New Zealand, we have this onion dip recipe where you get reduced cream, which is basically, what is it? It's an unsweetened cream stuff. I don't know what exact. It's reduced. So you get cream and you reduce it down to a paste and you put it in a tin and you sell this, right? So some lady a long time ago had the job of marketing this, and what she did is she got onion soup, a packet of dried onion soup. She poured it into the reduced cream, added a little bit of lemon juice or vinegar. You mix this together. It makes the most delicious chip dip the earth has. And I'm telling you, it's the best. It's the best chip dip ever.
Yeah, but the problem is, unless she had added that, it tastes like shit.
Absolute crap. Yeah,
because it was the leftover nothing. Basically, it was just reduced to what?
Just
Nothing.
waste milk solids.
Yeah.
There
are some very, very interesting ideas in chat, I have to say.
There is most definitely.
Fijo is on a deep fried Moro bar. Oh, you know us so well.
Is there any Fred you want to pull out in particular there before we end our stream? I do want to say though, I do see Tabletop Bob. How you doing, Bob? Good to see you. Bob has a YouTube channel where he live streams games, so make sure you check him out on YouTube. Also, Tabletop Bob, myself, AJ, and Fred are going to be monsters on Saturday. So if you are familiar with Esper the Bard's channel, or if you're not, make sure you look it up. We are going to be playing in a live stream game, I believe at 3 p.m. Central Time, Chicago for me. I'm not sure what time that is for you guys.
10 a.m. on Sunday.
10 a.m. on Sunday for New Zealand. But yeah,
Marmite, thank you, Phil. Not Vegemite, Marmite, thank you.
Yeah. But we will be playing monsters in Esper's live stream, so be sure to check that out on Saturday.
I will be playing Bogodan, the Oni ogre.
And I will be playing Vegemite.
Also an ogre.
Yes.
I will be playing.
I've been in training so that my death will be fast and swift.
I will be playing
one-shot spirit.
Yeah, I will be playing Ezor, the Arachnomancer Arachneer, and I will be trying to stay as far away from you two as I can. I feel like it's going to be a big Scooby-Doo episode is what it's going to end up being.
Is anybody even playing a frontliner? Because I feel like everybody's playing caster.
Yes.
We're screwed.
Michelle's playing a Minotaur, and she was, in our playtest, she was whooping some butt with that Minotaur.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. We're going to be fine.
I'm excited to tune
no
into
one's
that.
A frontliner, when no one's a frontliner, everyone's a frontliner.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
The only reason why Bogdan lived through that is because Fred basically was the punching bag right at the start of the fight.
Yeah.
I just ran away faster, that's all.
Yeah. So it should be fun. So if y'all aren't doing anything on Saturday, check it out. Any other comments that we can pull out of chat there before we go?
Oh, what have we got here? We've got the Bronze Baker, an ancient bronze dragon who loved to bake, haunts its skeleton remains in which still burns an unquenchable fire. It guides a warlock to an open bakery built within its bones. I hate to say it, but there's no way I'm going to go to a bakery made of bones. Okay, if there's bones there,
Hell yeah, I would make a beeline to that place.
No, I'm not doing that. That's yeah. I don't think that's a AAA establishment. I think that's definitely in the F rating area.
I am literally the Conan character that goes into a city and like grabs the first lizard on a stick and starts eating it. That's me to a T. Like crickets? Oh yeah, I'll try cricket cereal.
These bronze biscuits are a little hard.
Reminds me of the Candlekeep dragon ghost that's like in the catacombs, but with a bakery.
That thing is no joke.
Nice. It looks like Isa put a couple of drink ideas for blobbies. Thank you very much. We've got the Blobby Mary and
do we have a vote? Do we have a vote in chat on what was the best idea of the night?
Ooh,
oh, it's
that's a hard one.
It's Beer Cow, man. He can't.
Yeah.
Maybe we have a vote for second best because you can't pass up Beer Cow.
Well, do you know, Jordan, I don't think I've laughed inwardly and outwardly as hard as I have.
And my face hurts.
Yeah, from that. Because it's like you had nailed down the behavior of players to a T, and it's like it's like catnip essentially for players, something like that. It's ridiculously how clever it was. Yeah, so I hope that it's going to find its way over onto your website.
You've motivated me. I think I will.
Yeah, I think it deserves to be there.
We could combine everything, so we could have Crandy's Tavern. She could be serving Ooze cocktails. They could have a milking a alcoholic cow in the back room. All sorts of stuff.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Dear.
Pink Blob number 2. Oh, thank you.
Oh, nice. Issa reminded me of our Moon Dragon Jelly Bean Bakery from a few weeks ago. Yes, I still intend to. I need to post that somewhere. I have to clean it up first, but yeah, I'll post it and put it in the community tab of my YouTube channel. I'll probably just post it on my website somewhere. So thanks for reminding me. I do have to do that.
Also, Kobold Press has got the Tavern Drake, I believe, is one of their creatures that you can find in one of their tomes. It's always a great addition. And, of course, fairy dragons are notorious for narcotic breath stuff, so they'd hang out in taverns and probably maybe even get captured and used against their will in such a situation. So it could be a rescue of, maybe Crandy's got an illicit room upstairs where she's got some trapped fairy dragons and she's feeding narcotic gas into rooms where things are going on.
Now I'm thinking of that, like, Fey skunk from Kobold Press. That like sprays different things. Maybe it could spray alcohol, you know?
Mm-hmm. I'm getting a what is it? The hibachi grill when you go and they have what do they call that? Is it suki? The stuff they spray in you and you have to like, I don't remember now. It's a good story, I promise. But I forgot the name of it. It's a hibachi grill, and they'll spray like this is alcohol, this Japanese alcohol, and you're supposed to either open your mouth and they'll they'll spray it in there. Otherwise, you know what I'm talking
no, the
about?
hibachi grill is like a little barbecue pit that you have in your kitchen. You're talking about the restaurant where the chefs are doing all the stuff and they throw stuff at you.
Yeah. So I'm picturing that with a skunk. I mean, that's the first thing that came to my mind. If the skunk is shooting alcohol. All right, let's get out of here.
Oh man, I got a completely different image in my mind when you said that, and it's not a good one. Yeah, exactly what I was thinking.
Oh, man.
Okay.
You have offended the Shaolin skunk monk.
We have entered toilet humor.
Yep. All right.
A place where I live quite well, but probably not on YouTube if we want to stay viable. Maybe we should wrap things up and tell them what we're doing in 2 weeks.
Yes.
Do you remember what we're doing in 2 weeks?
2 weeks, Fun with Monsters. We'll be back. So that is going to be, today's the 9th. So that's what, the 23rd of March?
Yeah. In North America, 24th for me in New Zealand, but 23rd in America. Yeah.
Yep. I don't remember the monsters, but we will be talking about 4 different monsters on the 23rd. I believe.
Got a griffin.
The
ogre.
The griffin. The ogre.
Yeah, of course, because we're playing ogres. I knew
Mermaid and ghoul.
And the ghoul. Yeah.
Yeah,
this would be fun.
Yeah, ogre, mermaid, griffin, ghoul. Yeah, you got it right. You got your notes.
Sounds
and
good.
who we got? We've got you and me. So people have got to tolerate you and me again, Wally. AJ's there. Yeah. Okayest
Fishy
DM.
going on with these mermaids.
Yep, he'll be back, and we've got Dungeon Class Mark.
Okay.
So for those
Sounds
of you
like a
who
good
haven't
show.
been able to get enough of Gonzo and Mark, he's back again.
Very good.
And,
Mark is high energy.
Yes.
Yes.
And of course, we will see Flutes Loot again soon in the future. I got to get out of here, guys.
Is the brain shutting down at this
The
point?
brain's gone. So yes, let me take us out of here. For everybody in the chat, thank you very much for hanging out with us tonight. Hope we appreciate you being here. Hopefully you enjoyed all these ideas, and that's all we have. So until next time, everyone, on to the next.